Welcome to Horror Bois. It's a podcast on the internet. I'm Austin, joined as always by
Chris.
And we are the Horror Bois. And this isn't any old podcast on this old internet. No, my friends. This is a horror movie review podcast where every week we review horror media. Ignore the logo.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if you're wondering why we said it like that, how did you find this episode? It literally was in the title. Because we're talking about Chucky. Still on our Chucky coverage, our Chucky arc. And today we're talking about Chucky Season 1, Episode 5 and 6. So,
Right.
Let's do that, Let's talk about Chucky.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so today, the first episode we're going to talk about is Chucky Season 1, Episode 5, Little Lies, which is directed by Leslie Liebman, written by Harley Payton and Rachel Paradis. It is created for TV by Don Mancini. Its producer is David Kirshner. Gotta mention those two men. They're like fathers of Chucky.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Our composer is Joseph LaDuca. Our director of photography is Colin Holt. Our production designer is Craig Sandals. Our special effects makeup is by Francois Dangenis. I also want to just acknowledge that if you're wondering why I'm just kind of rushing through these people, it's because, hey, all these people are pretty much returning. I think the writers were new, but didn't do anything that I had heard of. So,
fair enough.
Our animatronic characters and effects are by Tony Gardner and Alterian Inc. Our 5 other returning puppeteers are Peter A. Chavaco, Pamela Uvetta, Eric Beck, Steve Newburn, and Gord Robertson. That's it. That's before we talk about the episode notes, that's the behind the scenes info for this episode. Oh, there's 2 episodes today, so you'll hear more later.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah. We open the episode with a flashback to a club in
Everyone's
the
favorite.
80s. Charles Lee Ray looks on as a young, feisty blonde named Delilah gets too aggressive with her date. After her date leaves, Charles swoops in and makes his move. Delilah is played by Samantha Brown. And Charles Lee Ray is voiced by the always amazing voice of Chucky, Brad Dourif, but is physically played by the returning Fiona Dourif. Yeah, and all the, not all, but when we have 80s Chucky flashback, Charles Lee Ray is physically played by Fiona Dourif with a little bit of prosthetics on her nose and chin, but yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. We head to the present at the hospital where Caroline wakes up and tells her dad she likes to be hugged. Caroline is played by Corinna Batrick, and Mr. Cross / Nathan. I at some point in my notes I start calling him Nathan because they just start calling him Nathan so much that now my brain says, oh, okay, fine, his name is Nathan.
Well, yeah, that's when he makes his independence from Mrs. Cross.
Yeah.
Because she sucks as a human being.
Just a lot. He is played by the returning Michael Theriault, like everyone who's returning, because this is episode 5 of a TV show, so.
Yeah. Weird if you jumped in here.
Yeah, but hey, welcome if you are.
Cheers.
If you want to know more about any of the actors, go back to probably the first episode they were in, and we'll tell you more about them. Caroline goes straight into her I Want Chucky, so Mr. Cross, or Nathan, we'll see, I haven't changed it in the notes yet, gets him, and she screams at his burnt look, so Nathan takes Chucky and throws him down the trash chute. Chucky gets stabbed by a lot of syringes and enjoys the rush he gets from the drugs, saying he loves hospitals.
Yeah, which, statistically speaking, most of those are probably anesthetics.
Hey, he's happy, okay?
He should be asleep.
Yeah. Oh, he's Chucky. Who knows? Who knows how?
Yeah.
How does
How does drugs affect a plastic doll?
Yeah. Apparently he gets high and enjoys it. That's what we've learned from this.
Yeah.
If you were curious, we have the answer now. We head to our title card now, which, if you once again are for some reason jumping in for this episode, our title card for the series is always, it's the name Chucky, because it's the name of the show, but it will be like made up of something. This episode, It is made of hearts, both realistic and just the shape.
Yeah.
Which, honestly, I can't really figure out exactly why. Normally, like, it's pretty obvious. Hearts feel, I guess, because we're gonna get a little bit of, like, the backstory of Charles.
Backstory
and Ray, maybe.
Yeah. With Charles and what's her name?
Delilah is who we're seeing him with right now.
Well, I was gonna say,
I don't know. Maybe you're trying to say that Delilah might be Tiffany. I don't know. I have to stay tuned and find out.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah, who knows? She is blonde and very aggressive. That does sound kind of like Tiffany.
Does.
Back in Caroline's room, Mary Cross and Lexi join their family. Mary Cross and Lexi are played by real-life mother and daughter Barbara Allen Wood and Olivia Allen Lind. Lexi asks Caroline if she can borrow Chucky. Caroline says that she hates Chucky and he's bad. Nathan tells Lexi, "Your mother and I both know that you want what's best for Caroline." Mary Cross says, "I don't know that." Because at this point, if you haven't figured out, because really, it's kind of really this episode where it really goes hardcore on it, Mary Cross has just become a horrible woman.
Yeah, no, basically.
Like, she was never a good mother, but
qualities.
Man, has she gotten really mean to Lexi. To be fair, Lexi did burn down their house and put their other daughter in the ICU. And
details.
Also, one of her friends died at that said party, and like, there's a lot of reasons to be a little mad at Lexi, but there's still also like an ounce of compassion you could give.
Yeah.
But she does not.
It was still all an accident.
Yeah. Mary Cross continues to tell Lexi that Caroline doesn't like Chucky anymore. Mr. Cross now tells Lexi that Caroline doesn't like Chucky anymore, and so he threw him away. Lexi takes Jake and Devin to the basement. Jake is played by Zachary Arthur, and Devin is played by Björgvin Arneson. Once down there, they realize he could be hiding amongst the loose needles. After some protests from Lexi, they start to execute their plan of Lexi with gloves digging around, Jake stabbing the pile with a broom handle, and Devin waiting to grab Chucky if he tries to escape.
Flawless plan, really.
I mean, it's not a terrible plan if Chucky was still in there.
Which, spoilers, he is not.
Jake falls backwards into the arms of Devin when the bucket he was standing on slips. They share a romantic glance, if you will. I wonder if there's something there.
There is.
There is, yeah. We head then to Miss Fairchild's science class. Woo, science class!
Yay, science.
Yeah. Miss Fairchild is played by Annie Briggs. Miss Fairchild tells them her door is always open to talk about all that's gone on. Miss Fairchild has to step out to talk to Detective Evans, who is played by Rochelle Cassius. And, once again, if you're joining in for this first episode, Detective Evans is Devin's mother characters, not in real life, but
right.
There's only 2 sets of real life, well, actually there's only 1 set of real life mother-daughter playing it, and then there's also, Brad and Fiona Dorff, who
father-daughter
who play the same character in multiple different ways throughout the series.
Yeah, just keep things nice.
Just to keep you really on your toes and not understand what's going on.
Understand.
So while she's out talking, the gang starts talking about what to do next. Jake asks about Junior, seeing if they should, include him. Devin thinks they should tell him, but Lexi says he doesn't have the imagination, so it's just the three of them. Jake points out how nothing weird has been reported since the hospital, so he's probably getting the itch to kill. Lexi says maybe we're going about this the wrong way. Maybe it's not where he's going next. And Jake interrupts, it's who. Ooh. And asks Devin, as the, expert on serial killers, what's he thinking? Devin says most of the time it's opportunity, but sometimes they fixate on a certain kind, but is interrupted by Junior walking over, asking what they were talking about. Junior is played by Tio Briones. Lexi says nothing. So Junior asks if they've seen Westworld, and they all say no. Poor Junior, trying to be included, trying to, he doesn't understand why his, girlfriend and kind of acquaintance friend are hanging out with his cousin that he hates. But, he's not trying to be a jerk here. He's trying, just like, you guys want to talk about Westworld? It's cool. We're cool kids. We watch Westworld, right? No, none of you? Okay, I'll just...
No, only Caroline watches Westworld.
Well, not anymore. She's watching the news.
Yeah.
But yeah, so poor Junior is just kind of rejected by everyone.
Yeah.
At this point, Miss Fairchild comes back in and tells them all to get back to work and sit down. Lexi texts Jake and Devin, let's finish after class. We head to after class, where Devin talks Jake through his guilt for Oliver's death in the hallway in front of Oliver's memorial. They hold hands as the world around them speeds up, and I'm assuming just a symbolic moment, not actually that they
stood there for multiple periods.
No, there's also they're
hands.
Superhuman. They have it's because they're moving very slow as the world around they're just. It looks cool. It's if you try to think about why it's happening in the real world context, it makes no sense.
Right.
If you're one of those weirdos who is mad that the Chucky franchise of all franchises is getting gay, you're also not gonna like it. But also, what franchise have you been watching?
Yeah.
Just saying. They hold hands, everything speeds up. We head to the Cross family, going to their burnt home. Mr. Cross isn't happy when he finds out that tax money is being spent on fixing their home. Mayor Cross says that the town will be happy to help restore order and grateful for a sense of security. The people of the town need to know they're safe, and the town hall tonight will be the perfect way to convince them. Mr. Cross says, you mean reach them? And Lexi says, you mean lie to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fair. And then Lexi tries to leave, but Mayor Cross tells her she's grounded because she caused all of this and has to live in it with them. Lexi storms off. Mr. Cross tries to tell Mayor Cross to show Lexi some compassion. He says, do we care more about how our life looks or how it feels? Lexi's hurting too. Mayor Cross says, touchy-feely Nathan is her least favorite Nathan. Nathan takes Caroline into Mayor Cross's office, where she's going to be staying. There's a really funny little joke about her dead grandma in the bed. I'm trying to remember the exact setup because I didn't write it down, but it's just funny, so I wanted to bring it up. He's like,
didn't Grandma sleep in this bed? And he's like, no, well, she did. And she's like, well, now she's dead.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, but she didn't die in the bed.
Yeah, it was really cute. It was fun. But Caroline, she starts to freak out because she wants her bed. Because once again, as never officially said, but Caroline is definitely portrayed to be on the spectrum.
Yeah.
When Mr. Cross, he goes to bring out a surprise for her to settle her down, and it's a good guy doll named Tommy. In Good Guy Doll, the Good Guy Doll voice is Nick A. Fisher. Lexi walks in and is concerned, asking her dad, "Where did you get this?" He says, "Online." Tommy says, "I like to be hugged." And Caroline gives him a big hug, and she's really happy that he likes to hug just like Chucky did. Lexi asks if she can hug Tommy before starting to just smash Tommy on the ground, trying to, make sure he's not, Chucky. So, for us, the audience, we're like, that's a fair response. But to her mother who just walked in, her father, and her sister, they're like, "Why are you doing this? What's wrong with you?"
She's just having a psychotic break.
Yeah, pretty much. And she takes a picture of him before leaving the room. We head to the Wheeler family dinner table. Logan Wheeler is played by Devon Sawa, and Bree Wheeler is played by Lexa Doig. Logan tells the table that thanks to a favor owed, Junior still gets to go to nationals for cross country.
Yippee! That's absolutely what Junior wanted to hear.
Yeah, well, no, actually he doesn't, because Junior thinks that's unfair, because he missed regionals in the hospital, so he didn't qualify for nationals. And Logan tells him, when you get advantages in life, you take them. Bree can see Junior's unhappiness, but Jake gets texts from Lexi, angering Junior, because she's not answering his texts, so why is she answering him? Bree tries to take Jake's phone, but he won't give it. Junior tries to take it, and Logan raises his voice and grabs Junior's arm, telling him to drop it, kind of in a similar anger level that we may have seen with a different character that Devon Sawa has played in this series. Maybe his brother, who was an abusive alcoholic, and, he's showing slight signs of being kind of like him.
Yeah.
That's not fun. Jake takes it off the table and leaves. Junior also leaves. Bree tells Logan that maybe now is not the best time to have an extra son in the house. I just feel like everything is falling to pieces, and I'm not entirely sure what you're doing is helpful. Logan says, "I'm not my brother." She says, "That's not what I mean." And he asks, what did she mean? And that's the end of their conversation. Yeah. Jake sees Lexi's photo of Tommy. We head to Caroline singing Itsy Bitsy Spider to Tommy as a storm rages on, as Chucky looks on from outside her window. Later that night, Nathan goes in to check on Caroline and finds Chucky on the floor and takes him. Mayor Cross can't start the dishwasher, so Lexi does. They see Nathan with Chucky, and Lexi freaks out, and Mayor Cross blames Lexi, thinking she's trying to mess with Caroline. Nathan says he's just going to throw it out, and Mayor Cross says, "Please do," and tells Lexi to just get out of my sight, go to your room. Nathan says she doesn't have a room anymore, remember? And Mayor Cross says, "And whose fault is that?" as Lexi storms off. Nathan tells her to give it a rest, and goes to throw Chucky away. Lexi texts the boys to get over there ASAP.
Yeah.
We get a quick shot of Jake and Devon biking over. It's to break up these two scenes. It's not that important, but I just have to bring it up. It's there. Nathan comes in, and Mayor Cross tells him to not undermine her authority in front of the kids. He tells her to pick a lane, either mom or mayor, because he's not sure she can do both anymore. She says that's crazy and impossible. And Nathan says Lexi didn't sign up for this, and neither did he. She says, "How about mom and mayor, because that's the best she can do." And she does pretty well if you ask her. If you ask me, she doesn't actually, but...
Yeah, she doesn't do either very well at all.
Yeah. Nathan storms off with her bottle of wine, and that's the end of the scene. Jake and Devon show up as Lexi holds the lid on the trash can, holding it closed as it rattles and bangs from the inside. They open it and a skunk pops out and runs out. Jake then immediately bags up Chucky while Devin tases him. They end up stomping on the sack until Chucky is in pieces. They celebrate. They did it. They killed Chucky. End of series. We'll see you next week for Final Destination. No, wait. I still have
darn it.
4 more pages of notes for this episode alone. That's a little weird.
Yeah.
Guess we'll continue seeing what I wrote here. Jake asks about Caroline's new Tommy doll, but Lexi says she checked and he's cool. And Jake and Devin bike off, and they stop on a hill. As the sun comes up, Jake asks, what do they do now? And Devin says they go back to normal, I guess. Jake says, I'm not sure what normal feels like anymore. And Devin says, I feel like that all the time. And that this is a problem they can solve together. They then share their first kiss together. Woo! Before heading to their respective homes. Actually, they also then share their second kiss like immediately after the first kiss. Yeah. And, I saw that scene immediately and went, oh my gosh, the Rainbow Cult!
Yeah.
I'll never let that random comment on Shudder die, because it makes me so mad.
That is a really stupid comment.
Yeah. Can you believe openly gay Don Mancini wrote gay characters and has been since 98? And probably would have from his 88 to 91 for those first 3 if it was a little bit more acceptable at the time, but it wasn't. So he had to wait till 98 to have any gay characters. But yeah. No, how dare he? How dare he make Chucky gay?
Wild. Who'd have thought?
How dare he? We cut back to the 80s club where Charles Lee Ray and Delilah pick up a girl. Charles calls her Red. Red is played by Blaze Crocker. We head to a hotel where Delilah and Red are rolling around. What does that say? Presumably about to play harmonica. While Charles watches on, he pulls out a knife and walks over and is about to stab Red, who tells him, do it to me now, as Delilah looks on confused and disgust. Before Charles turns to stab Delilah instead. He says, hey Red, wanna play? And gives her the knife. She repeatedly stabs her, getting sprayed with blood as she musically crescendos, will be how I refer to what she does.
Yeah.
You can make the connection if you want. She says, wow, it's never happened like that before, and says, is that me? When she realizes her voice has changed. She's now voiced by Jennifer Tilly, confirming she's young Tiffany.
Yeah.
Tiffany and Charles move to the bed. Tiffany tells him he really knows how to show a girl a good time. She says he should be Chucky, and he says she should be blonde, before they start kissing, and we head back to the present. And I'll admit it here, and I'll bring it up again when the next episode, when we have it again. I know I shouldn't. I know if you're a long-time listener, you remember my discussion of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the beginning. I typically hate prequels that answer questions I never asked, but gosh, do I love this stupid world so much where I go, oh, that's why okay, that's where I love it, and I don't know why. It's hypocritical, and I know that, but I just do. I'm sorry.
Don't worry, I'll hold it over your head for everyone else.
Okay, I please do. I deserve it to be held over my head. It gets even worse in the next episode, but I don't care. I love it. In the present, Bree Wheeler is at therapy, and we find out that her secret is stage 4 cancer. Oh, that's big of a
surprised she's not cheating on what's his name?
On Logan.
Logan. Yeah, I was gonna say Luke, but that's his dead brother.
Yeah. Her therapist, Dr. Amanda Mixter, is played by Rosemary Dunsmore of Total Recall, the Orphan, Orphan Black, and The Toll, alongside Principal McVeigh's actress, Jana Peck. Bree decides she has to tell them, and we head to the hotel from the flashback, but now it's in present day, where Chucky, in Nika Pierce's body, is making out with Tiffany in Jennifer Tilly's body, in front of a corpse and a tied up and gagged hostage.
Yeah.
Nika Pierce is played by Fiona Dorff. Tiffany is played by, Jennifer Tilly. If that doesn't make sense to you, that I said that she's in Jennifer Tilly's body, go back and watch Seed.
Yeah.
Or don't, and just know that she's in Jennifer Tilly's body, and that's the end of the really to know.
Yeah.
They stop. Oh, sorry. Yeah, they're making out. They stop and pay attention to the hostage. The hostage never gets a name, and the only option on IMDb is Young Man, who I think is who this is. And if so, Young Man, he's played by Eric Soges. They talk about how he's ungrateful for the show they're giving him. Tiffany walks over, stroking his hair, and says, "I need a snack." Chucky says, "Yeah, he does look kind of yummy." Tiff says, "I'm thrilled you've expanded your palate, Chucky, but I was talking about a real snack, like Swedish meatballs." And Chucky says, "Wait, you're hungry?" Tiffany says, "Yeah, I'm hungry. I want to eat something." Chucky replies, "You're always hungry. I'd say you were turning into your mother, but that would be an improvement." Tiffany says,
Dang.
"Yeah." Tiffany says, "My mother always told me never let a man block you from what really makes you happy, and eating makes me happy." Chucky says, "Go get fat then." And Tiffany says, "Maybe I will," and leaves. Chucky grabs a knife and tells the hostage, "You know, if killing with Tiff is the best time I ever had in my life, how come I feel like strangling her with my own bare hands? You want to know why? Because love is strange." And Chucky cuts the hostage's forehead, and the sight of the bloody knife causes Chucky to fall down. Before I continue here, I just want to say once again, Fiona Dorff is just amazing at capturing Chucky. It's weird. It's weird how good she is at, like, just giving off this, like, masculine Chucky energy as she, like, man spreads as she sits, and, like, she's, like, when she stands, she's, like, sticking her crotch out like a lot of men do sometimes. Like, she makes it work in a way that doesn't make sense, but she's very talented.
Yeah.
And speaking of talented, we're going to see her range now, because as she falls, they are now Nika, whose legs are paralyzed, if you don't know about Nika. Nika asks the hostage if he's okay and ungags him. He begs her not to kill him. She starts to realize what's going on and asks what day is today, what's the date. He tells her November 8th. She says it's been 2 weeks. He says, "Please don't kill me." She says she's not a killer. He asks if she's serious because he watched her murder the body on the ground. She asks him if there's a good guy doll around. She explains to him quickly the plot of Curse and Cult of Chucky as we get flashes of it. She unties one of his arms and he backhands her, hitting her down, which brings Chucky back into control. Tiffany comes back and tells Chucky she needs to eat, and if he ever compares her to her mother again, she'll cut his heart out and feed it to a stranger. That's why hearts were in the picture. Okay, I get it now. Chucky agrees to go eat, but once she walks out, he comes back in and slits the hostage's throat, so her Nika secret stays a secret. We head to the town hall, being held at the school's theater. Principal McVeigh welcomes random parents in. McVeigh is played by Jana Peck. Caroline tells her dad that Tommy ran away. I wonder what that could mean for the story. Lexi, Devin, and Jake sit together. Jake says they should tell their family about Chucky and how he's dead. Lexi says nobody will believe them, and Junior comes over to confront her, and she tells him the truth about Chucky.
Yep.
His response is, if you don't want to tell me what's going on, fine, but making up stupid stories like that is just embarrassing, and tells her to grow up and leaves. And she's like, see, told you.
Yeah, doesn't have the imagination.
No, he doesn't. Mayor Cross gives thoughts and prayers and says Hackensack has never been safer as everyone boos her. It goes on for a little bit more. She says a little bit more, but that's the gist of what she says. Detective Evans informs everyone of the curfew and invites Principal McVeigh up, but she doesn't come out. But her head does roll out as Heads Will Roll by the Yeah Yeah Yeahs plays. It's a really perfect song choice for this scene. It's really works really well. Tommy Chucky opens the curtains, revealing a headless Principal McVeigh in a chair giving thumbs up. Lexi says, but we killed him, as we, the audience, see that Chucky did his Ade Due Dumbala incantation to transfer into Tommy back on the stormy night. That's the end of that episode.
Yeah,
and it's a fun episode. It's Chucky. Spoiler: there's not a lot that I dislike about this franchise, period. But definitely this show so far has been it's been very good. I like the flashbacks. I love being able to see now not just Fiona Dorff play the idea of the character of Chucky, but now she's just straight up playing Charles Lee Ray, playing her dad, and she looks enough like him that it works, and I like it. I like the flashbacks. I like them thinking they killed Chucky. It's cool. We know obviously Chucky's not dead because it's the Chucky show and it's episode 5. Even if this was airing live, I'd still go, well, he's not dead.
Right.
But yeah, so it's fun. That's my thoughts. If you want to give any quick thoughts on that episode.
I don't know if I'm as much as a fan of the flashbacks.
That's fair.
But that being said, they don't take too much away from the show. They're well done enough, except for the weird voices being put over the people obviously not voicing the characters. Does kind of make my brain go, weird. Don't like it. But that being said, it is still well done for what it is.
Fair.
But everything else in that episode, I enjoyed. A lot of fun moments.
Cool. Now let's move on to Chucky Season 1, Episode 6, Cape Queer. Directed by Samir Rehem. Written by Nick Ziegler, I'm not sure. And Sarah Acosta. Both of them have written before, so... The Samir this is their first time directing, but once again, I believe Samir, if I remember right, had done some other, TV directing, an episode here, episode there, and it felt weird to, credit them for, they did this show when they did an episode.
Yeah.
But yeah. All of our other crew is the same as the last episode, and let's be real, same as every episode in this season. This episode starts how they actually all do. This is the first time I'm bringing this up, because every episode opens with a recap of the last episode, voiced typically by a character. This time it's Tiffany, who also adds in about her taking over Jennifer Tilly from Seed of Chucky with some clips from that. So... Yeah, hadn't brought it up before this because normally it doesn't matter, but this one it actually adds a little bit if it's the first time if you never watched Seed and Chucky's your first time watching these characters, they add in that little bit of hey, here's this part of the story in case you are a new viewer, because there probably were people who just jumped into the Chucky TV show.
Yeah.
We then head to Charleston, South Carolina, where Andy, Barkley, and Kyle are posing as census takers. Andy is played by the returning Alex Vincent, and Kyle is played by the returning Christina Leese. Technically, I guess Alex Vincent has already been in the Chucky TV show, because his voice was heard in, I believe, episode 1. But this is the first time we're seeing him in the series, and the first time we're seeing...
And for those of you who are confused about who Kyle is...
Oh,
It's
that's
from
Child's
Child's Play 2.
She was Andy's foster sister, and yeah, if you don't know who Andy is, I don't know what to tell you. First 3 movies, you didn't see any of them. It's a little weird that you're jumping in here, but he was a victim of Chucky, I guess. First person Chucky had, kind of tortured as a kid. But yeah, Kyle actually had made her return to the series in the post-credit scene of Curse. No, Cult. It was Cult. Andy returned in the post-credit scene of Curse. Those titles are too similar and it confuses my brain. They are at the Morrison residence. Mr. Morrison is played by Jamal Grant. Miss Morrison is played by Lisa Michelle Cornelius. And Becky Morrison is played by Sage Arundel of Tales from the Hood 3. Kyle is doing a good job being convincing, while Andy is asking peculiar questions for a census, including lost my place. Like, do you have any new dolls in the house? Kyle,
totally normal questions.
Yeah, Kyle though saves it by thinking on her feet and explaining it's a way to get the kids excited about the census. So Becky comes back with a few dolls, but no good guy doll. Kyle asks if these are all her dolls because it's important to count everyone. And she realizes she forgot to get Charlie. She brings back Charlie, or as I like to call him, Burnt Hand Chucky from Cult of Chucky. In a good guy voice, he says, "Hi, I'm Charlie." There's definitely a pause there. Wanna play? She hugs him, and then Chucky, in Brad Dourif's voice, says, "You made me do this," as he pulls out a knife. Andy shoots him in the head before he gets a chance to do anything, and then Kyle and Andy unload on him with multiple gunshots.
Yeah.
Kyle says, "Thank you for your cooperation," and they leave.
And what is both one of the coolest and silliest scenes in the show.
That's fair. It's definitely silly, but I liked it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
We head to our title card made of broken glass.
Wonder why that would be the case.
Some glass that breaks at some point in this episode.
I'm sure it won't be too impactful on the overall story.
It's probably just... Spoiler, there's a lamp broken later, and that's probably what it's talking about.
Yeah, probably.
Back to Andy and Kyle driving. Kyle asks if those people today... what if they talk? Andy replies, "You and I both know nobody's going to believe them." Kyle says the little girl's going to be traumatized and she's never going to be the same. Andy says she'll be alive. Besides, you and me went through a lot as kids and we turned out okay. As clips of Child's Play 2 play. He adds, "You did at least." She asks him why he didn't tell her you were keeping... Sorry, I tried to change... Yeah. She says, "Why didn't you tell me you were keeping a living Chucky head locked in a safe?" Quick shot from Cult of Chucky. We will cut to multiple clips through this scene that I will not talk about when we cut to them, but yeah, they happen. He thanks her for taking care of that for him. She says, "Why did he keep him alive for 4 years?" He doesn't think that matters, but she thinks it wasn't rational behavior. He tells her he picked up at military school to get to know your enemy. You learn a lot from a POW if you persuade him hard enough. Like how he screamed the loudest at fire. And then he also, adds that was his favorite scream. Because, once again, Andy's not okay, actually. Andy is very mentally unstable.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, after what he went through, makes sense.
Well, it does.
She asks if there's just one left. He says, yeah, just one doll left. And kind of alludes to Nika. Doesn't ever directly say that Nika's out there, but, alludes that he could do more than just kill you.
Yeah.
We head to Miss Fairchild's science class. Woo!
Yay.
But it's actually interrupted this time by Detective Evans coming in to arrest Miss Fairchild for the murders of McVeigh, Oliver, and Detective Peyton.
Dang it, huh?
Oh. Devon tries to say she didn't do it, but can't explain why. Lexi says Devon's right. They know she didn't do it. And Detective Evans takes away Miss Fairchild. Devon says they should have told his mom about Chucky. Lexi says she didn't want to be institutionalized. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Jake agrees they can't tell anyone. I have to find Chucky and kill him again. Lexi says it has to be Tommy because he's missing. And Devon says they should try to get a hold of Andy to get help. He explains who Andy is to them. And they make plans to meet up at Lexi's after school.
Woohoo.
Yeah. We head to Hotel Hackensack, where Tiffany is trying to and failing to stuff a body in a suitcase. Chucky tells her, "You never were good at packing light." They argue back and forth before Chucky tells her, "The key is smaller pieces for optimal packing. It's like rolling your t-shirts instead of folding them." Tiffany yells at him to shut up as she cuts off the excess part of the leg, spraying Chucky with blood. Tiffany storms off as Nika is thrust back into control. We head to a flashback in 1987 Hackensack, where a seller is selling a familiar red 1960 Pontiac Parisian to Chucky and young Tiffany. You may remember this car from Bride of Chucky as well as the end of Curse of Chucky. Yeah. The seller is played by J.D. Nicholson. The seller discloses that a young couple were decapitated in the car. To his surprise, they still want it. He tells them it's a stunning automobile and a true classic and never goes out of style. Chucky tells him it's not a classic or even an antique. It's not vintage or retro, it's just old. Kind of like the seller. And then Tiffany slits his throat with her signature nail file, presumably maybe for one of the first times. They drive off as Chucky reads a book about voodoo. And yeah, I should hate this scene, but I don't. I really like it. I really, every time they go I'm like, the voodoo one was the one part where I go, okay, come on, really, the voodoo? But when the guy says the classic, true classic no style, I went, that's the thing that he says.
It is.
So, I maybe I get it. I get why, prequel writers always do that. For the first time, it actually meant something to me, even though I understand that this is exactly the Solo problem that I have established before is something I hate. But for some reason, for Chucky, it works for me, and I like it. I'm a hypocrite. Deal with it. I'm sorry. Back to the present. Bree tells Logan and then Junior about her cancer. Jake finds out overhearing. It's a dramatic scene, but none of the dialogue specifically was so important that I brought it up. But yeah, it's a good scene. But yeah, that's the gist of the scene. We head back to Hotel Hackensack, where Tiffany and Nika, pretending to be Chucky, are playing poker. Fun fact: Jennifer Tilly is a professional poker player whose live tournament winnings exceed $1 million. Yeah.
That's pretty insane.
Yeah.
Good for Jennifer Tilly.
Yeah. Nika gets an uncharacteristic inside straight. Tiff asks Chucky if he wants another beer. Nika says, "No, I'm okay." And Tiffany says, "Cutting back, are you, Chucky?" Nika starts to kind of get a little nervous shake going here. Tiffany asks Chucky about Niagara Falls. Nika says, "I'm more of a live in the present kind of guy." Tiffany persists. Nika says it was a long time ago and tries to get back to the poker. Tiffany says, "Too long to remember your own honeymoon?" And Nika says, "My favorite part was just being with you." And Tiffany says, "Hello, Nika. Long time no see." Nika tries to say, "They're not Nika," before asking does Chucky not bluff? And Tiffany says, Chucky bluffs, but he doesn't bite his fingernails. Oh yeah, and that she stabbed Nika in the thigh 10 minutes ago to no reaction.
Yeah.
Nika asks Tiffany what she's gonna do to her, and Tiffany says she doesn't know because she actually enjoys Nika more than Chucky. She tells her that she bought them a house in Hackensack. The only problem is she needs to keep Nika in the driver's seat. Tiffany knocks out Nika with a frying pan. And I just want to gush about this scene. I love this scene. I bring it up almost every time she's in a scene because she's great no matter what she's doing. But the insane acting prowess of Fiona Dourif to play Nika Pierce trying to convince Tiffany that she's Chucky, but changing it just enough so it's not just her Chucky voice. This is like a masterclass of acting. I love it. I love her portrayal. Like it's amazing. I love it. This role maybe makes her one of my favorite actresses ever. Like she is just it catches. It's I don't know how to say other than I just love it. It's amazing, and it takes a lot of skill.
I would say that I am very inclined to agree, specifically on this scene.
Yeah,
because there's a level of nuance that you have to be able to play a character that you play, and also playing another character that you play,
but has to
but
make
also
that
being the other character,
pretending to be
but
that,
also
but it has to make it
enough.
convincing enough that it doesn't make Tiffany look like a complete idiot for even playing along. Like it's insane. It's so impressive, and
wild. Yeah.
This alone right here, I was already thinking this. I think for sure Charles Lee Ray deserves the national treasure status. I honestly think this series is making me think that maybe Fiona and Jennifer Tilly both also deserve that. We might be going crazy. This series, we might go from 2 to 5 national treasures in the pantheon of the national treasures of Horror Boys. It's like our Hall of Fame. It's when I just decide to call someone a national treasure. And I think we might be up to 5 from 3 before. Or 2 before. But yeah. We head to Lexi's house, where Devin, Jake, and Lexi are looking for Andy Barkley. They can't seem to find Andy Barkley on Instagram, Snapchat, or Twitter. But they did find an article about how he escaped from Harrogate 2 weeks ago. Lexi goes to answer the door. Jake asks where Harrogate is, and when it's Rhode Island, he remembers he got a call from Rhode Island back in episode 1, which was about a month ago, which doesn't, that timeline right there, about a month ago, it's like, did he get the call? I guess he got the call before, he got the call, and episode 1, and this whole story started before Curse, or Cult, but then Cult happened, like, in the middle of this timeline, I guess. I don't know, it's a little confusing. Because they go from 2 weeks talking about it for everything else to about a month. Which, honestly, about a month does kind of make a little bit more sense for the timeline of this show. Because there's been a lot that happens, and there has been times where it feels like a little bit of time has passed. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a slight discrepancy I have of, the timeline might get a little weird there. But, it's okay. And he decides that, that call from a month ago, that must have been Andy. In the other room, Junior tells Lexi about his mom and how his life is falling apart, including their relationship. She says, not them, and she's always here for him. Jake calls out that he's on Facebook. He then, Junior, breaks up with her for not being mentally there in their relationship anymore. Which is, sad for her, but also doubly sad for us, the audience, as we think about Junior, who is now isolating himself from more people, losing even more in his life, and just having nothing. Because, Junior, isn't the best character. He's got his flaws, but he's not a horrible person. So to see him, get, less and less, it's it's kind of sad. You're like, oh, I don't want Junior to go through all this.
Yeah.
Jake calls Andy, but gets his voicemail and hangs up. Then he gets a call, and it's a Ghostface. Wait, no, it's Andy calling back. And if you want to know more about Ghostface, stick tuned to the end of the episode where we give a brief thoughts on Scream 6 that we saw on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Andy tells him he's part of the lucky few that are alive if they know, knowing about Chucky, and tells him not to tell anyone because they won't believe. He asks if Chucky is with two women. Jake says he doesn't think so, and Jake asks how they find Chucky. Andy says he won't have to find Chucky because Chucky will find him. And if he can't, he'll kill everyone Jake is close to. Kyle says he killed their foster parents. He'll stop at nothing. Andy says it'll be somewhere Chucky knows, and Jake is most vulnerable. Jake says Junior's house, and Devin says not a bad place to spring a trap. And Andy tells him to text him the address. Yeah. We head to Tiffany, claiming to be Jennifer Tilly, meeting with realtor Gladys Kravitz, last seen back at Halloween, eating a razor blade apple from Chucky. Gladys is played by Jamila Ross. The house Tiffany is buying is the Ray house that Chucky's parents died in back in the 60s. One murdered by a serial killer and one murdered by Chucky. Tiffany says her and her fiance are moving in, and her fiance grew up there. Gladys is confused until she realizes that her fiance must be the kid of the Rays, and leaves quickly after giving Tiffany a familiar-sized box that had been shipped to the house.
Yeah.
Tiffany gets Nika out of her convertible's trunk and ties her to a chair inside. Tiffany kisses Nika and says goodbye before heading off. She actually says goodbye, sweet face, and leaves. Her tied up in there. We head to the police station where Miss Fairchild asks Detective Evans for her lawyer. Detective Evans says someone's on the way and she just needs her to listen, not to talk. Which is, still not really, kind of, shady police work to still try to even talk to her when she doesn't have her lawyer present. It happens, but it's not cool. She explains what Fairchild's motive would be, which is, how, she was next in line for the job, and, explains the evidence of her fingerprints being all over the place, and brings up that she had, a criminal record as a juvenile, so, maybe McVeigh knew that, and that's why she took her out. Before she leaves her, telling her, you're gonna need a lawyer. And, that's that scene. This whole, Miss Fairchild subplot doesn't really go anywhere yet. I don't remember if it ever does. But yeah. We head to Bree and Junior showing up outside her therapist's office. Junior asks what she talks about in there, and she says all the things we don't talk about at home. He asks why they don't talk about it at home. And she says, I don't know. He asks her if she talks about him. She tells him all the time and that he's one of her favorite topics. They hug and share some I love yous, and she, heads in for therapy. We see a POV of Chucky under the car laughing. Uh-oh. At therapy, she tells her therapist she wishes she didn't put the fear on her family and has decided to refuse treatment, not because of hopelessness or depression, but so she can live the time she has left with her family.
Yeah.
She's about to tell Logan her plan through text, but decides not to. And she heads over to look out this window and she's look at, the world. Oh, but wait, Chucky's behind her with a mail cart, and he pushes it at her, which pushes her out the window. She falls out. Chucky makes like a fake shocked face with his hands over his mouth, before blowing her a kiss and waving. As she lands, Dying on the car Junior is in, her face breaking through the glass right in front of his face. Whew. This is Devin's actor Bjorgvin's favorite kill in the series. That's just a fun fact about this scene. I know all 4 of the kids' favorite kills, and I'll bring them up when they come up. We head to the Wheeler house, where Logan is mad at Dr. Amanda Mixter, not seeing any signs of depression in Bree. Dr. Mixter explains that some patients, when faced with their own mortality, would take back control by ending their lives on their terms. Junior says that his mother decided to hell with them and just give up. Jake makes facial reactions of this not seeming right. Dr. Mixter explains that Bree's cancer had metastasized, and even with chemo, her chances were grim, and that she loved her family and didn't want to overtake their lives with treatment. Logan thanks her for coming and walks her out. Jake tells Junior he doesn't think Bree killed herself, and Junior tells him to stay away, and they were fine before he came along. And once again, just the heartbreaking episode of just Junior, because Junior has nothing left in life. His dad's never really been there for him. His mom was the only good thing in his life, and she's gone. So that kind of sucks. Because, as we Junior, he's had his problems, but, he's always earlier on in the series, he was the one who, would, go to Lexi and go, hey, maybe we're pushing Jake too far. He was the one who seemed to have a heart as the bully, And now he's got nothing left. We head to Devin watching Cape Fear when his mom comes in to say goodbye. She tells him she knows she was wrong about Jake, and she's sorry and should have trusted him. Devin asks his mom, how do you know if you really like someone? She tells him when she first met his father, she couldn't stop thinking about him. She had butterflies in her stomach, and whenever he was around. She asks if that's how he feels about Jake. He says yeah, and he was worried she wouldn't look at him the same. She assures him this doesn't change anything. He's her son, who she will always love. Aww. They hug, and she tells him they should have Jake over for a movie night. Isn't that sweet?
Yeah.
Can you believe the Rainbow Cult?
Yeah. There's somebody out there.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, there was at least that one guy, and I'm sure there's more. But yeah, after she leaves, he goes back to Cape Fear and gets inspiration for a plan to catch Chucky. Him, Lexi, and Jake set up the trap where you tie fishing line from all the doors and windows to a doll in the middle of the house, and if the doll moves, an intruder has entered.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lexi heads up to Jake's room as a lookout. Jake and Devin sit on the stairs. Devin ignores a call from his mom. Jake and Devin talk about a potential date they could go on when it's all over, and how Jake used to be into horror movies. They agree that Laurie Strode is the best final girl. I will personally mildly disagree with that. I think she's a great final girl, but the disrespect for my girl Sydney Prescott, not cool. But, the fair response. And there's a lot that, but honestly, I think, Nancy Thompson might also. Is that right? Is that her name? I think, Nancy from Nightmare on Elm Street also might be above Laurie for me personally. But, Laurie is a respectable answer, I guess. The doll moves, so they go searching for Chucky. They find a broken lamp. See, told you there was a broken lamp. I didn't lie. Chucky's entry point of the fireplace and the burners on in the kitchen. But no Chucky. We head upstairs where the lights go out. Actually, lights go out in the whole house, but upstairs is when they go out. And Chucky is in Jake's room with Lexi. He tells her, he'll let her go if she kills Jake. She kind of pretends to agree as Jake sneaks in behind Chucky. Chucky hears Jake and, tells her to get him, but, she's not really going for him, so he runs under him and cuts his leg before running into the hall. Devin tases him, sending him flying back. but the taser takes time before it can work again. I don't know if that's how tasers actually work or not, but
Maybe.
or if this taser is just faulty. I'm not sure what's supposed to be the story here. I don't know enough about tasers to know if this is like a faulty taser or how just tasers work.
Yeah, so it's a stun gun. Tasers is the one that shoot.
What?
You would think it would be the opposite, but
Whatever. I don't care. Yeah. So Chucky gets up while he's messing with the stun gun, and just runs right past Devin. Doesn't seem to want to hurt Devin at all. At this point, we hear Detective Evans is in the house. She sees Devin, but Chucky jumps out onto her back, and they flail around for a little bit, but it ends up causing her to fall down the stairs, breaking her neck at the bottom. Chucky runs out the door as the kids check on Devin's mom, who is dead. Whew, that's a heavy 2 episodes. Here's final thoughts. This episode specifically, wow, they killed 2 people in this episode, and 2 characters' mothers. Characters' mothers are dead. It's very sad. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, it's cool but sad. You know, it's a horror show, so I want to see cool. You know, the Bree's death was really cool. I understand why. You know, it's Bjorgvin's favorite kill. I mean, I don't know if it's my favorite, but I understand why it could be someone's favorite kill. Yeah, it's a fun episode, I guess. I mean, it's a sad episode, but you know, it's still Chucky, so it's still got good comedy throughout, and the acting from all these characters is great. Specifically, once again, huge praise to Fiona Dorff. She impressed me so much in this episode, especially. She's always impressed me, but this episode, that portrayal of Nika trying to be Chucky just like pushed her over the edge of me being like, wow, she's amazing. Yeah, that's my thoughts. What a surprise. Austin liked an episode of Chucky, and both episodes. Wow, can you believe it? It's been that way for every episode. So let's head on over to Chris for his thoughts.
I also very much enjoyed this episode, but yeah, wow. Lots of moms dying. And from what I've heard, word on the street is it won't just be the moms. Just parents dying in general, I guess.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Can't wait to see a whole bunch of kids be orphans. Yeah. I really don't know what's gonna happen because, yeah, people are just not gonna have parents in a very short amount of time. Yeah. Maybe the science teacher is gonna parent them all. I really don't know what's gonna happen. I'm very excited to see what happens next.
So that's our thoughts on this episode. But I promised you something. So before we get into like the closing, like goodbyes and all that crap, that crap, we have thoughts on Scream 6. I'll start personally with a completely spoiler-free thoughts. It was good. All right, if you don't want, I'm not gonna like totally spoil anything, but if you don't want any spoilers whatsoever, leave now.
Yeah.
There's nothing really left.
I'll also do my spoiler-free
your spoiler
review.
Completely spoiler-free.
I really enjoyed it.
All right. Yeah, if you don't want any spoilers, leave now. Here's the thing. I'm not going to, like, spoil the movie. But I'm just going to... I have 2, like, statements that go together that are technically spoilers. And are a little bit. But I don't think they would ruin a movie for you. But I could be wrong. So if you don't want them, leave now. My thoughts... The movie was great up until the reveal of who Ghostface was. Or Ghostface, let's be real. It's not Scream 3, so there's more than one Ghostface. Can you believe it? I'm not going to say who, but it was a little disappointing to me. That's the gist of it. And then the second half of it is, it's not Stu Macher. They make you think it is, and I think that's honestly hurts the movie. Because I love Stu. He's... the second ever, national treasure, Matthew Lillard. You tease me with, hey, we're bringing back that guy you love. And here's the thing, you don't have to. I want to make sure it's clear that this isn't me being like, I'm pissed that my fan theory of them bringing Stu back didn't happen. No, I'm mad that they went, hey, remember Stu? Some people say he's not dead. And then he wasn't in the movie. You made me think, hey, Stu's gonna be here. And he wasn't. And that's a little disappointing. But yeah, that's it. And I think if knowing that going in, I would have not been as disappointed with the reveal at the end. Because by that end, I'm like, oh gosh, Stu's about to show up. This is awesome. And it still is a really good movie. But it's not what I thought it was because of the way they made me feel. They purposely wanted me to think that. And I think that's a little crappy. But overall, really good movie. I love that new Scream cast. I love the core four. Spoiler. Sorry. Our 4 survivors from the last movie are all back in this movie, and they all are really fun. I like them a lot. Jenna Ortega gets to shine a little more here because her, star rose in between movies. But yeah, that's it. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I definitely feel like they leaned too hard into the what if Stu Macher's alive thing, just to do like the rug pull at the end. And I feel like just based on that, some of like the lines of dialogue don't really make sense. And I'll leave that, to decipher for when you guys watch the movie, if you watch the movie.
I might have to talk to Chris after this because I'm trying to remember what line he's talking about, but we won't talk about it on here. We'll talk about that afterwards.
There's really only one line of dialogue that really
we'll
gets
talk
me.
We'll talk about it afterwards. I don't want to, I don't want to spoil anything for people, other than that slight. I didn't like the reveal, but guess what? I didn't like
really
the reveal
liked how visceral feeling a lot of the kills ended up being. Because a lot of the times in Scream movies, it's like, oh yeah, somebody gets stabbed. And you're like, whatever. But it really felt like every single kill or attack had a lot of impact.
That's fair.
And I enjoyed that a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kills that made me recoil a little bit. And I was like, oh, all right. It felt a little bit more real.
Yeah, it's fair. I can see that for sure. The dialogue was fun, and it still is.
The dialogue and the chemistry between a lot of the characters was very fun. And Sam was a little bit more bearable in this movie.
She was better in this. Yeah, it's something I thought when I was watching. If you saw our Scream 5 review, I didn't like Sam. I just didn't like the actress. I didn't think it worked. I think she worked a lot better. Maybe it was the writing she was given or something, but I thought the character worked a lot better in this movie. It's not perfect.
No.
But, it is a lot better.
But it is much better.
If this was what we had in Scream 5, I probably wouldn't even brought up complaints about her, honestly.
And yeah, everyone else I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's our... Still relatively spoiler-free, because, it's only Monday, and this movie came out Friday. Well, Thursday, because, movies releases. But... so, yeah. But... Don't expect Stu. That's the one thing. I wish I knew that going in, because...
All you
as a Stu
fans.
As a, he was the second ever National Treasure. Now we might have 5. I don't know. We'll have to discuss that offline, but we'll definitely have 3. There's no way that Brad Dourif isn't on that list, for sure. I'll have to, negotiate getting Fiona and Jennifer Tilly on that list with Chris after. We'll see. We'll discuss it,
Well, for sure, put Fiona Dourif.
Okay. Well, I'm okay with Jennifer Tilly maybe not making it yet.
Maybe.
We'll see. To be fair, I don't think Jennifer Tilly's in anything horror that's not the Chucky series, so I'll never actually get the chance to call her a National Treasure ever.
Oops.
But hey, if you like this podcast, leave it a 5-star review on Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever you use. Or, head on over to youtube.com/@horrorboys to, watch the video version. You can see our pretty little faces. And you can like, comment, and subscribe over there. If you want to support us directly, you can go to patreon.com/horrorboys, where, you get this podcast typically early. Sometimes barely, like this week's.
Yeah.
It's a good thing that we don't have anyone there, because I would have had to make a post apologizing, because this is coming out like a couple hours probably before it comes out tomorrow, or for you today. But yeah.
Yeah.
I've been Austin. Oh, I forgot to say before I've been Austin. Next week, Chucky, episodes 7 and 8, season 1, the finale of season 1. Then we'll go immediately into season 2 coverage.
Yeah, somehow.
It's worst case scenario. We've already talked about it. It's not that hard. I've been Austin, joined by Chris. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.